Sam, first of all, on this cash that seemingly has been magicked out of nowhere, this is because tax receipts are higher than were expected.
Yeah, so in January, there's always a bump in January because it is when people do their self-assessments. You always get this little spike in the amount of tax that's coming in January. But what happened this January was that spike was much bigger than anybody had actually predicted. There were more people doing their self-assessment and paying in, and there was a £5 billion surplus. So there was more collected in tax than we spent that month, which, is a great thing. Obviously, then over the course of the year, as you said, there's £30 billion that official forecasters were saying we would be spending, but we haven't actually spent. So if you look at those different things, then you get the low-tax Tories, who are quite a powerful group now on the backbenches, who are saying, you've got lots of room for manoeuvre now in that budget. You need to start cutting taxes, Jeremy Hunt. You need to freeze corporation tax. That's going to go up significantly. They're saying, don't do that. Businesses need a bit of a helping hand at this moment. We want to kind of generate growth. Don't go putting up taxes. Now, people in the Treasury tell me that actually that's not really the way they're going to play this. They're absolutely focused on halving inflation. They want to bring down debt. And actually, I think if they've got any money to spend, they're going to focus it on defence spending. And actually, they don't want to put up the fuel duty. Jeremy Hunt does not want to be the first Chancellor to put up fuel duty in more than a decade. So I think they will look in those places first if they've got any money to spend. Really,
really interesting there, the sort of different, I suppose, demands. Should the Conservative Party be reducing that tax burden? Or there are all of these voices calling for higher defence spending here, higher public sector wages over there. I suppose big decisions, but in your view, the government's probably going to come down on higher spending rather than lower taxing.
Yeah, I think they're not showing any signs of wanting to kind of bring down that, to freeze that corporation tax or make other tax cuts. Obviously, I know certainly there's a number of senior Tories, such as John Redwood, who they would like to see extra help for people who are self-employed. Obviously, there was a big change in the way self-employed people are taxed. Obviously, people, tradespeople particularly, they want to give those people a helping hand in the budget. But actually, I don't see any sign from the Treasury that is going to happen.
Perhaps less wiggle room than we'd all like to expect. Yeah. But moving on to the big issue that may well come up in Prime Minister's questions today, weren't we supposed to have a new Brexit deal done by today?
Just feels like Groundhog Day. How many times have we discussed Brexit deals? It was supposed to be done today. That timetable has slipped. I think the Prime Minister had hoped to discuss it at Cabinet yesterday with his top team. That has slipped. There was a big meeting last night between the ERG, which are the kind of core Brexiteers in the Conservative Party, and the DUP in Northern Ireland. Obviously, it's really important that the Prime Minister gets those groups on side. That hasn't quite happened yet with the DUP. They've got these tests that they expect to be met before they will sign up to any deal. The 7 tests, which essentially boil down to, no border down the Irish Sea, that things we can trade freely between the mainland GB and Northern Ireland. They're not quite there yet. They say about half of those tests have been met. So there's a little way to go yet, I think, before that nudges over the line. Well,